You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome as we launch into the second hour of BaaD Radio. That stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. And we are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday. I am your host, Angela Smerito, and I want to give a shout out to Angela Smerito, or Anna Smerito with BaaD Marketing for the fantastic job she does on our YouTube videos. And you can actually go to our BaaD Radio YouTube page to see all the previous shows there. And like I said, Anna does an excellent job. And the content that business owners have been able to pull from those YouTube videos has just been a very, very strategic part of the BaaD brand growing. So we are very happy about that. So we are talking to two key members of Central Florida BNI team, Michelle Rhea and Heidi Vold. So we've already been talking for an hour, but we're going to clap because we're talking for another hour. So we've gone over, you guys' history, the history of BNI, and now what we talked about is like launching a chapter. And so once a chapter's named and you have like it's 15 members, and then my mind wants to say you go live. You're already meeting, you're already doing the things, but once you get to, what is it, 15, then you're an official chapter?
No.
Okay.
So
I'm obviously not on the launch team.
No, I'll give the quick thing again. So
Okay.
core is 0 to 5,
Okay.
and then we name. Then phase 1 is 5 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Then we and phase 1 usually is done on Zoom, just as we're building that up.
Okay.
Just because there's a lot of groups that are forming right now here in Central Florida, and it's easier to have it all in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're able to do breakout rooms on that. Then we go, once they hit 10 paid members, that's when we move to the platform and the day that they officially have. Because in phase 1, they're sitting, and in core, they're sitting on Wednesday between 11:30 and 1. But then we have when they go and they're at 10 plus members, then they go to their day, whatever, and their time.
Now, do people normally just like vote on the day and the time, whether or not it's going to be all virtual or all in person
We
or
choose
hybrid?
that when we name them,
Okay.
and also put them in the system. So
Okay.
we already know which part of the Central Florida area they're going to be. We already have our estimated day and time that we're going to be having, and if it's going to be online, hybrid, which hybrid is you meet the first in person the first week of the month, and then the rest is online, or if they're going to be fully in person.
Right.
And so that's something that we decide in the beginning, because that also helps with what members are choosing, because you don't want to kind of do, I'll say, a bait and switch.
Right.
They think, oh, I'm going to be having it where we're fully in person, and then they're all of a sudden like, we're going to do Zoom.
Well, you know what? Like when we were coming out of COVID, I think that I don't know. I just know that from my experience, there was a lot of people that were torn, like with, I want to stay all virtual. I like this. I like rolling out of bed and getting ready and sitting in my office. And there's other people like, no, I miss the face-to-face. And then so a lot of chapters had to really have that come together and discuss it and vote on it. And like I said, decide how they want to move forward. But now they can choose right now when they start whether or not one of the three that they want to be.
Exactly.
Now,
whether it's existing or launching, any members coming in, there's multiple options on existing chapters, and then there's also multiple options with
On
the
the launch
launching
site.
chapters. So there's a lot of options to choose from as far as like location, the mode, which is
Right.
live hybrid,
Uh-huh.
the time, the day. There's a huge variation, so it leaves a lot of doors open.
So I was curious too, is there a requirement on geography on how far chapters have to be away from each other?
No,
Okay.
we just all have to be within our 6 counties, which is our Central Florida region. If they go outside of those counties, they go into other regions. So, if we have a chapter move their location, it can't move into a county that's not part of our region.
That makes total sense. But you can have multiple chapters in Winter
We
Park.
have like 7 Winter
Well,
Park
it's
chapters.
actually funny
Okay.
because I'm
that the big-
doing
okay.
2 launching chapters right now in Winter Park, and it's funny because this is where, yes, no geographical location doesn't matter, because the one is 0.2 miles away from the other
Oh,
one.
really? See, I always thought that the
we have
chapters
people
were.
that meet in the same locations on different days.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And there's chapters that are literally meeting in the same building because there's 2 conference rooms, and they're just in different parts of the building.
right. See, I don't know why I thought that. I just thought that the chapter was dictated by the location, like the Oviedo chapter or the Winter Spring. Oh, but I know there's not a
Some
Winter Spring chapter.
chapters
There's a
end
Winter
up-
Springs in the process
Is
right
there?
now. Yeah.
Yay. I live in Winter Springs, but I'm not leaving Oviedo. I literally drive to 434 and take a right, and I'm there. But those people driving by that church that we meet at are crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a rough one.
Trying to get in there, you don't get in unless somebody slows down and flashes lights and says you can go.
Yeah.
I mean, I've almost been late twice now because I'm like stuck not being able to turn into that. Tom's
Yeah.
like, you should call the police and like tell them that people are speeding. I was like, okay, I'll
Can we
do
get a
that.
crosswalk person over there? Like,
Can you get one of the police
the
officers?
BNI
to
have it where
come?
they put on the thing with a horde.
Right.
I'm like, I just want to go.
You've seen
turn.
those guys at concerts that bring like the reflective vest so that they can
Right.
get out of their car and stop the traffic so they can let their friends out.
Put a pretend badge.
I should. Well, they fly too. There's like, I mean, they go way too fast. Or either that or I'm just getting way too old. It could be one or the other. So there's no geographic. And so once the chapter launches, okay, let's talk about the structure. So you mentioned officers. So let's talk about how that works and how there's an opportunity for just about, and it's not a requirement, but it's encouraged to get involved in the leadership.
Being in leadership is a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a huge amount of visibility and credibility. So if you're in membership, when you're a new member coming in, you're the first person interviewing that new member.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine the credibility that individual has just right out of the gate, not knowing anything about them. That's a person that was trusted with the responsibility of interviewing potential new members to grow their chapter.
Right.
The president is leading the meeting every week. The VP is going over numbers.
Right.
The mentor team is building that relationship with a new member as they're, helping them get oriented.
Well, let's talk about those. Let's talk about those different roles. So you have the main leadership team.
So we have ELT, which is our executive leadership team, which
Right.
is going to be your president, your vice president, and your secretary treasurer, which is the same person.
The secretary, so it's not 4, it's 3.
Yeah.
And I've sat in 2 of those roles. I've ever been president, but I have done the VP and I've done the secretary treasurer.
Yeah.
And then you have committees after that. Oh wait, no, you still have some individual.
We have some, like members. VP oversees the membership committee, which is going to be tasked with interviewing all new applicants.
and that's like a 5-member, right?
We normally have 4 for
4,
like a
okay.
standard size group. You have 4. If you get into some of your much larger groups, we add to help with the load of that.
Right, because it takes 2 people have to interview. Two people
Yeah.
from the membership committee have to.
Yeah.
And I know you guys don't like to call it interview because
No,
it's
It's
It
a
is.
conversation. I
Yeah.
call it on the launch side. I always say it's a conversation
Okay.
because the reason I always say it as a conversation is interview can be intimidating for some people, but also when you're having the conversation, it's where you want to learn more about them versus an interview. People are trying to say what they think that you want to hear.
Right.
That's what I've learned. And obviously on launch, it's very different because on the launch side, there is none of this
Right.
structure. And that's not until they get to it's 20 members that they charter into the system.
Mhm.
And then that's when I'm the one who's building the leadership team for those chapters, then training them for 8 weeks. So it's a very different thing on the launch side. So, but when you get, these people that are having that conversation, people are more candid and they're more honest about who they are.
Right. I can't even begin to. I mean, we had 1 or 2 people that just crushed it on the interview. People are like, "This is the person's amazing," and they ended up just flopping. And I'm like, that is
That
what I
happens.
call a
Yep.
con artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can con their way through that, but they can't con their way through being a good member.
Well, that's why we love accountability because
Yes.
we have certain things that you have to be accountable to, and it's things that there's no surprises. You're told what the expectations are, and we ask members to stick to that because, like we said before, that seat's not just important to the person sitting in it getting
Right.
referrals. It's important to everyone in the room. And in order to protect the integrity of the chapter and making sure that everybody is an active participant in the process, we have to have not only that that process to join the group, but also the accountability afterwards.
That makes total sense. All right, well, we're going to run to break again. That one went by really fast. So you guys stay tuned because we've got more BaaD Radio coming up.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar. With daily specials, an amazing kids menu, and college and NFL football with over 50 TV screens, there is something for everyone. They're large, like HD TVs, and they've even installed like some of these enormous like projector screens and stuff. It's pretty amazing. And you don't want to miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. They have 4 locations, and so there's bound to be one near you: Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's, hopping with food and fun.
Love me some Frogger's.
I know, Frogger's was awesome. You guys used to be right next door to Frogger's.
I ate there all the time.
So we're here with the BNI team, Michelle, Rhea, and Heidi, Vold, and we've been talking a lot about BNI, and I love talking about the structure of it. And I love people being able to hear how much is involved with BNI, and it's so much more than going to a meeting and passing everybody your cards. There's like a science behind all the processes, and so like you said, I think that I love the term trust the process. I think that is something, especially when it's had so much success. So during the break, you were talking about some success numbers. So I want you to say those numbers again, if you don't mind.
Okay, so in Central Florida, over the last 12 months, just a rolling 12 months back, I rounded just a little bit, but we are right there. We're right around $50 million in what we call thank you for closed business.
That's so amazing.
So that means business that has been passed amongst the members of BNI in Central Florida. Right now we're sitting at about 1,034 members. Okay. So because, mathing is hard, I just rounded some more. And I said, if we take 1,000 members, okay, and we divide that 50 million by 1,000 members, that gives our members on average an ROI of $50,000. Now, does that mean everyone's at 50? No, but on average, we're at $50,000 return on investment for showing up to a BNI meeting that I like to tell people, call your marketing meeting, because that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
Showing up for your BNI meeting every week, having coffee and getting to know how you can help each other's businesses once a week. That an average of $50,000 a year passed in amongst our members. And I have some members that tell me they, 65% of their business is from BNI.
Heard even larger
85% of their business is, from BNI. Or I don't even market anywhere else. All I get is my business from BNI. Like, it's the stories out there are pretty incredible.
When I am talking to somebody about BNI and one of their objectives is, I don't think I can pass referrals to others. I want them even that much more.
Yeah.
Because that means that they're thinking about what they're going to be able to do for the other members more than they're thinking about what it's going to mean to them. So when somebody says that to me, like I said, that just makes me go on the hunt for them even more. I'm like, you're coming to this, and once you get into it, trust me.
Something we teach our members is every single week we teach our members, you're not giving a business spiel or a commercial when you stand up and do your 60 seconds, your 45 seconds, or whatever it is to your group every week. We strategically teach you how to tell people in the room, who are you looking for in a referral? How am I going to know, and what am I going to say? Mm-hmm. We teach you how to send that message across. Okay, and everyone in the room is doing the same thing. So you don't have to worry about that, because each member is going to teach you how to help them. You don't have to inherently know and just do it.
Right.
Well, and I'm going to throw this in there as well, because I obviously hear that objection a lot on the launch side, because they're like, some people are newer to the area.
They're like, I work from home. Well, I never go out.
And I laugh because I'm like, I always say to people, I was like, do you know people? And then they're like, yes. And I'll always say, because if you don't, I will be your friend. No worries. But one of the things, of course, it's like we're all communicating with people. And I always say, have you ever asked somebody, how's everything going? And then they're like, yes. And I was like, what happens? And it was funny because I was thinking about this back to when I was in the restoration side, when I was the GM and everything. And I'd go into a house to check for like a water, like damage, was there water damage? I'd ask somebody, hey, how's everything going? I don't even know. I became like a bartender without the drink. I'm hearing about the dishwasher that's having issues. We need a
Right.
cleaning person. I think I need to have this painted. Like they would
Right.
just start spilling it out by
And
me
you're
just
like,
asking a basic
tick,
question.
tick, tick.
And
Right.
yeah, I would be like, well, I actually have this person. And I would have it. I was
Yeah.
like, do you want me to do the introduction? And that way you can see if they might be able to help you. And they'd be like, yes. And I remember being like, that was so easy.
And it's fun too. I have like my friends and family trained. They like if they need electrician, if they need this, they know to text me and say, who do you have? And then I usually have several. And I'm like, this one is closer to you. This one is going to be, a little bit pricier, but quality work. You know what I mean? And so I can actually send them multiple people because I've been in BNI, and I'm also fortunate to be in one of those categories, which allows me to visit a lot of chapters. So
Yeah.
I'm not in a seat that is, there's not a lot of ad agencies that and then what BNI has meant for me in the ad agency seat is a source of partners.
Right.
So like with an ad agency, we are like a broker. So we get a client in and they might need this service. They need photos done for their staff. They need digital marketing assets. They need this. They need car apps. I have BNI to like pull from to be
Right.
able to find the right people to do that. And it always comes with a sense of security because I know they've been vetted. I will look and find out how long they've been in BNI. I'm not going to lie. Like I usually will look and be like, okay, if they've got, 6 months under their belt, then I'm like, okay, they've gotten past that.
You
Right.
probably look at the bio too. I always tell people, put in your bio.
and BNI
because I'm
Connect,
like,
yeah.
some people, they're like, I'm in the system. I'm like, no, but I was like, when people are searching you, they want to learn more about you.
Yeah.
So put your bio, put more information. So
Yeah.
that way when people are searching, because you can search anywhere in the
read about
country,
you.
they can actually learn and start to feel some sort of connection to you.
Right. Well, okay. So we could sit here and tell stories all day because I will, and I like it. But I wanted to talk about, finish up talking about the different roles in leadership. And then I want to talk about the meeting structure and how it is set up to where and that's one of the reasons, being leadership was attractive to me because I like the organization. I like knowing it's going to be from this time and this time. I
Right.
know what to expect from this. It's not a willy-nilly. People are just going to start telling stories, and next thing you know, it's like 11 o'clock, and you're like, gosh, I need to go. So we got through the membership committee. So what are some of the other leadership roles that there are?
There's the mentor roles,
Mhm.
which are our group of members that help any new members get oriented, make sure they,
I think that's one of the most important roles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Have a
one
quick
of the most
plug-in.
important and one of the most understated roles in BNI. Like
Because-
it's so important, and it can make or break your group because
Yeah.
people don't want to spend 3 months trying to figure stuff out. And when you've got a strong mentor team, it makes all the difference in the return on how quickly that member gets up to speed, not only getting referrals for themselves, but being able to participate
Right.
and give referrals as well.
And
Really
it
helps
wa-
with the
it
integration.
can
Yeah.
be overwhelming because BNI has an amazing tool, which I know hasn't been around forever, but it's called BNI Connect. It's a
Yeah.
website. It's a very, very functional website where, I'm used to the handwritten slips. You put it in a basket,
Right.
you pass the basket around, and you do all the things. This is a whole new level of when did BNI Connect actually go live?
Oh, I don't know paper day, so
I can't remember the exact. I
It was
know
a
it's been
while.
It's been a while ago.
It was pre-COVID. I know
Probably-
that.
probably-
no, it's been since before 2018.
yeah, probably we're talking 10 plus years, probably.
Right.
It's been around for a while.
The one thing I love about BNI Connect is I can, if I am in Arkansas and I need something, I can get on my phone. If my car breaks down, I can go in there and find somebody
Yep.
in there.
Oh, I used Virginia actually for a personal injury attorney for my mother after a car hit her.
I was putting
Yeah.
together a campaign and I wanted to talk to HVAC people in South Florida. BNI Connect.
Yeah.
And it was so useful.
Right.
But yes, people had to put in their their contact information.
That makes a
Make it
huge
public.
difference. Exactly.
If you're in BNI, you guys put your contact stuff in BNI Connect. Trust me, you want to do that.
Yeah. No, I just sent 2 referrals to Cincinnati yesterday.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Do you wanna-
That's awesome.
I have to actually share recently. So I have my daughter's aunt is in Dubai, and I actually
Oh,
found
really?
a property manager that I had been searching.
In
then.
Dubai?
Yeah, I was searching property managers out in Dubai, kind of looking at what that was in connection to Emery's aunt.
Uh-huh. That is amazing.
Never thought that would be happening, but I was like, I'm searching around. I was like, there we go.
And calling it BNI Connect is such a great name because that's literally what it
does.
So,
Exactly.
All right. These are flying by now. So we're going to go to break, and when we get back, we're going to continue talking. So stay tuned for more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. So we are here with two key members of Central Florida BNI team, Michelle Rhea and Heidi Vold. And I want to say Vold. I always want to say Volt because it's like Volt electricity kind of thing. It's Vold with a D. And we've been having just a really in-depth conversation about BNI, which is the world's largest networking organization. And it's got, it's very structured, and sometimes that scares people away. Mm-hmm. And like my goal by having you guys here is to really help the audience know that this is something that's available to people, business owners. One of the key things that I find when I have people on the show, and like the people that really strive in BNI are the same type of people that I like to have on this show. I have such a passion for business owners, and I hear it so much. I was, in the corporate world, and you know what I mean? I just got tired of the rat race. And so I know words are hard. And so, and so I decided to take a step back, and it takes so much courage to do that. But then you have things like BNI that are available. So I know we've been trying to get through like the leadership team.
We'll get there eventually.
But so
we're bird walkers.
Yeah. So the point is like you can become a member of the chapter. You don't have to take a leadership role, but there are a lot of opportunities to get involved above and beyond that. I said that before, is like what was attractive to me about BNI and being in leadership is being able to help the structure.
Right.
So meetings are how long?
They are 90 minutes, which includes 15 minutes of open networking.
Okay.
So if your meeting starts at 7, every member should be there at 7 and having open networking time. And then at 7:15, your meeting would start.
Right. And it's scripted.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so why do you think that they did that? I know why, but I'm like, because I've been through it. But like, if you're talking to somebody that's never been to a BNI meeting, why do they script it?
So people don't change it. I mean, that's
everybody on task.
Yeah, it keeps everyone on task. And there's, like you said, there's a method to the madness. Like,
exactly.
There's a reason behind things. Everything is in a certain time and a place and an order for a strategic reason.
Mm-hmm.
So
you could also go anywhere in the world and have it where you might not understand. You in another part of the world and go and be like, oh, I know what part you're in now.
Exactly.
I went to a meeting in Tennessee when I went to visit some family, and it was run the exact same as here in Orlando. You can go to another country, and as long as you can understand their language, it's the same meeting.
Yep.
So it's meant to have continuity. It's meant for everyone to be playing off the same playbook, everything to be the same understanding, the same code of ethics, the same core values, the same everything, because there's a way that works, and there's no real reason to mess with that.
Well, I mean, I call it best practices.
Yeah.
And they
for sure
have been developed by very, very successful professionals. People, they'll watch, Tony Robbins, right? And they take what he says and they listen to it and they follow those rules because it's been established that is a successful way to do things.
Yeah.
I remember having to take a Carnegie whatever thing, and it was on sales stuff. And I fought it so bad. I was like, I don't want to ask open-ended questions. I want to do it the way I want to do it. And until I let go of that and just accepted the process, I wasn't successful.
No, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, when we
you guys
go
are on
through
the
even
same exact pitch,
right.
When we go,
when
we even are dealing with like the launch side of things, we always talk about like the 4 key principles for success, which is the acronym BaaD. We always want to also look at the passion and the people that we have in that. Then we have A, which is accountability. We have to be accountable to one another. That's also where the structure is very important. And that's also when you're doing that too, that is also our systems and processes that we're doing outside of the meeting that are really important important for the members. Then, we look at I, which is individual improvement. Think of sports teams. You can have the best in the business, but what do they do at springtime? Spring training. You have to learn how to be able to pass that ball of business towards one another so they can catch it.
Right.
And then ultimately the D is it's in the details.
Right.
All that stuff comes together, and all those details and all those parts are a huge part of why we are successful also as a chapter.
And I will say that, and anybody who's gone to a BNI group or more than one BNI group will attest to this. Yes, there's a structure. Yes, there's a scripting. Yes, there is an order of events that happens, an opening, an introduction of your leadership, your weekly ask, your VP report. Like, there is a structure that we follow, but every group you walk into has a slightly different feel.
Oh, definitely.
Right? The people in the room make the group, and they make the culture. They make the feel that you get when you walk away, because everyone can say the exact same thing, and that's fine. Like, we have a nice concrete foundation, but everybody builds a certain feel and culture within their chapter.
Well, they're each other's their own BNI family.
Yeah. It is very structured, and it does have a concrete basis. And we want chapters to stay that way so that we don't change the foundational things that have been put in place for very specific reasons.
Right.
But every chapter is going to have a little different feel, and we like it that way, because not every chapter is for every person.
Exactly.
And I've had lots of people that say, listen, I went to this chapter and I loved it, but I want to visit a few more. And then they'll visit one or two, and they'll almost always come back and go, these were all great, but this one really just kind of hit me.
Right.
This is the, that I want. And some people will go to one chapter and go, I don't need to see anything else. This is where it's at. I love these people. I felt so welcomed. I think you said it earlier, and Tim says it all the time too. People will remember how you made. How do you?
It's not about what you say; it's about how you make people feel.
Yeah, like they'll remember how they were made to feel long before they remember what you said. So
this is a quick story too, because I'm now going to be in the secretary treasurer role with my chapter.
Thank you, by the way.
And, absolutely. And I finished my training too.
Thank you so much.
Even better.
But
even better.
One of the things that we did is we had the meeting where we talked about what we want to start implementing. And one of the things that I've noticed with my chapter is that we were going over time. And again, I'm like looking through things, and I'm like, it's our I haves. It's our I haves moment that's at the end, and it's meant to be I have a referral or I have a testimony. And so I said that, and some people, they still wanted to do the I have the thank you for closed business, or I have this, and that's what was taking us over the time limit. Is that it kind of like turned into a little bit of story time. Right. But it felt good. People felt good. And so a lot of people were a little bit sad about the fact that we're just going to have, I have a testimonial and I have referrals. And so this last week, everybody adhered to it. And it was really nice. But I have to say, it felt a little sad, because I think people are going to have to get adjusted to having that warm, fuzzy part. But again,
sometimes what happens when they have the I have portion too, like when let's just be frank here, a lot of chapters, they'll get into that and say, I have done a 1-to-1 this week.
Oh, no.
And then it's like, well, I would really hope so, because that's what we want you to be doing.
No, that's what is happening.
Well, exactly.
And that whole section was really designed to say, this is what I've brought to the group today.
Yep.
And we call it the I haves, but it really is, that section is, this is what I'm contributing this week.
I know.
And people forget, because they say, well, what do I have? Well, I have all these things I put in Connect. It really is a section. It's the giver's gain section.
Exactly.
It's the what did I give back to people today.
And a visitor comes in and all of a sudden sees what is actually being passed
Yeah.
instead of what we're looking for.
Well, I think that what we'll do is, now that everybody's adhering to it, they're going to warm up to it, and they're going to understand.
They'll adjust.
But they're also leaving 15 minutes before we're leaving on time now, as opposed to 15 minutes after time.
Right.
So,
Good for you guys.
There was a reason for it.
Yeah.
But it was like an adjustment. So
change is always hard.
I know.
Growing pains.
But again, you got to trust the process. The process is put there for a reason.
Right.
And you're exactly right. That is the giver's gain. That's not, I've had a 1-to-1. That's not, I have thank you for closed business. In fact, the I have thank you for closed business is somebody else. I have a referral. That's where that plays in, right?
Exactly.
So, all right. I can't believe it, but it's time to go to
Oh my
break.
gosh, already?
Yes.
How is this even possible?
All right, you guys. We're going to run to break. When we get back, we're going to have more BaaD Radio, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Well, welcome back. And I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, boltslegal.com. Fear no storm with Bolts Legal. Crazy Muscle Nutrition, located in 436 in Castleberry. Imbalanced Bodywork in Lake Mary. Derek Brantley is ready to help take your pain away. Forge IT Consulting, providing a fully outsourced IT department. I am also super excited because we have a new sponsor. We have Get Me Automated. We've had Ashley on the show a couple times, and she covers everything from websites, project management, AI bots, and so much more. So these are the people that really keep this show going, because I just signed for another year, so I'm going to be here at iHeart for another year starting in January. So that's super exciting, but I couldn't do it without these people. And I know you recognize a lot of them.
Yes, we're like sitting over here like little coffee.
But I mean, they do. We couldn't all be here if it wasn't for the support of the BNI people. And I love it when they come on and they're like, that was such an amazing experience. Or like, I was so nervous. And I had Hiroko on here. And she has like 1.3 million followers on TikTok.
Yes.
And she was nervous.
Yeah.
And I was like, how could you even possibly be nervous? She goes, well, when you do a video and you put it on there, you don't have all the things. You're not in an environment like this. But anyway, so yes, I love my BNI family. All right, so we are going to kind of wrap up what we've been talking about BNI. Now, we've talked about the structure, the history, all the things. Let's just do it like rip off the Band-Aid. Let's talk about the price, because that is something that is absolutely true, is that being in BNI is not free.
Okay. Yep. So it's actually pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
When you sign up as a new member, once you're accepted into a chapter, meaning you've done the interview process or the conversation process, and you found that it's a great fit for you and a great fit for the chapter, at that point you would have an application fee, and the membership is less than $1,000 a year.
Right.
So even if you have a hard time with that $1,000 right up front, we offer PayPal, which gives you 6 months free interest. So really, it's the payment is almost never ends up being an issue, because we give options to make sure that everyone has an opportunity.
Absolutely.
With that as well, like the application fee, that is a one-time fee that you're having. So people sometimes are like, oh, as a new member, they're like, oh, it's a little more right now. I'm like, no, well, that's only because it's the one-time application fee on there. And one of the things that I always say that's really, honestly, it's important about having it, like even a membership fee, it allows you to remember that you're putting skin in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because then that way it's not just like where you go into certain like networking events. And I always joke about this too, because it's like you can go to networking events, because we all do that. Let's just be honest. But I always say it's like a weird dating experience, because it's like you get all these business cards. People are like, yeah, we're going to do business. Or you're talking to somebody that does exactly what you do, and you're talking about war stories. But it's like you get home sometimes and it's like, what just happened? Or you'll have it where somebody says they're going to do business with you, and then you're contacting and reaching out to them, and you're stuck at the gatekeeper again, and they don't call you back. So it's like you get ghosted.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times where it's frustrating. BNI is very different because it is so based on that relationship. So you are having it where you're building those relationships, where you have a guy or a gal who's going to pick up the phone and say, what do you need? How can I help?
Right.
Yeah, it's intentional, strategic networking.
And I'll tell this quick story too, because this is very important. And this was about when you're doing your 60 seconds. So when you go to a meeting, it might not be 60, depending on the size of the chapter. But no matter what, you get an opportunity to stand up and do who you are, what you do, what's a good referral. And one of the things that you guys ask is for a specific ask. I'm looking for an introduction to this person. I did not buy into it. I was like, nope, I want to meet everybody. I want to do business with
anyone and
anybody.
everyone.
Right. And then I was like, fine, I'll try it. And I have to say, I tried it. There was a person I wanted an introduction to, this high whatever attorney, somebody, billboard attorney. And just so happened that I said that specific name. Person in my chapter knew that person personally, introduced me. I got a face-to-face. I sold him radio, end of story. And I'm like, I'm never going to question it again.
Have you ever heard the story that Tim Roberts has told about his dad with the firefighting?
No.
Okay, so his dad was BNI. And he was in a chapter, and somebody in his chapter stood up and said, I'm sure this is a waste of time. Nobody's gonna know, but I have this product and it's meant for firefighters. And if you know any firefighters, so Tim's dad, Mike, yes, Mike gets in touch with this guy, comes back the next week and had set up like 30 appointments at fire stations for him to get in front of all of those fire crews, because
how did he have this connection?
He had no idea that Mike was like the fire chief for like 30 years in their town and had all of these connections in the bag. So you never know, even once you get to know people, you never know the people in their circles.
There's another story quick on there. There was somebody that was trying to get past the gatekeeper of this other high-end business, had been trying to get through to talk to them for over 3 years. Did that ask of like, I'm trying to meet XYZ. And their best friend was in the group. The person had them connected to them 2 hours later, and that person actually then came to visit the chapter the following week and was like, oh, and then became a member.
Oh, yeah. It's so crazy.
You just never know.
You got to trust the process.
Yep.
Right.
It's there for a reason, and it's established, and you can trust it. But I mean, I'm probably like a lot of entrepreneurs, is I'm stubborn, and I'm like I don't see sense in that, but I am open-minded, thank God, because if I wasn't, I know, I will try things. And so, like I said, I'm happy for that. And so, okay, so it costs money to be in, but let's talk real quickly about assets. So we talked about BNI Connect. As a member, you get access to BNI Connect.
Right, which gives you access to the entire global BNI community. It gives you access to thousands of hours of networking training, not necessarily just like how to do BNI, but like actual networking. How do you become a better networker training?
Right.
Within Business Builder and the BNI University. You, in our region, you get access to Heidi, who's like an amazing launch director. You get access to me, who I do coaching calls and training.
We have CEUs as well.
There's CEUs. There's
endless
certified
education
units. Education units, guys.
There's endless opportunities for you to enhance your business, because that's the whole purpose. We're trying to give you the tools to add into your toolbox to be successful, to make money.
Mm-hmm. You know what I also noticed too is like when you launch your business, and you can do this in sales a lot too, is you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm ready to go. What do I do? What do I do? With BNI, you always have something to do. You can go visit a chapter, or you can set up a one-to-one. It gives you something to do so that you can get the ball rolling, if that
get
makes
out of
sense.
the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Because you can get real busy with everything, and then, like, let's just be honest, a lot of us have it where we're so busy in our day, but we don't end up finishing anything. And then it's like, are you being productive, or are you producing results?
Right. I like the acronym, the AEO, which stands for Activities, Effectiveness, and Opportunity. And networking, you can't be a networker without all of those. You can have all sorts of activities, but if they're not effective, then that doesn't matter.
You know, that thing just went on there. I want you to finish, but I want to talk about, I want to say all of the core values. So keep finishing up what you're going to say, and then let's talk about all the core values, or at least say them.
Yeah. Activity, effectiveness, and opportunity. So that's our goal in BNI, is to make sure that you have plenty of activities to be able to do. We teach you how to be effective with them. And then your opportunity is in that group and in the global network and the local network, being able to do those activities effectively with as many people as possible.
Awesome. And the core values?
There's lots of.
All right.
Well, the ones that are at the meeting that they say.
We got givers gain, traditions and innovations. Let's see if I can remember them all off the top of my head.
Lifelong learning.
Recognition. Accountability is my favorite. Positive attitude. And building relationships.
That's right.
We got them all.
My favorite is recognition. That's my favorite.
My favorite's accountability. I always love it. But of course, we all have to default to givers gain. But like, I love the accountability portion.
I love to be recognized. I like that. I like having
I love the relationships.
Relationships. Like, everyone is drawn to one. But like, givers gain, I think, just always comes back to
everything.
us. It embodies everything.
All right. So, Michelle, go ahead and give everybody. Well, actually, both you guys give your contact information. Just watch that clock.
My name is Michelle Ray, and my email is Michelle, MICHELLE at BNIORL.com, and phone number is 407-733-5636.
And I'm Heidi Vold, VOLD, and my email is Heidi, HEIDI, at BNIORL.com, and my phone number is 443-768-9862.
And a huge thank you to all of our sponsors. And you guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you on again.
Thanks for having us.
Everybody have a great week, and remember to support local.